On your news at 5, President Trump announced a new military move on the United States southern border. What comes next? And new items exempted from sweeping tariffs, how this impacts your future shopping, and what has changed. Then, how Anchorage is taking time to appreciate the work first responders do, the celebration.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
Welcome to your news at 5. I'm Adelmi Ruiz. President Trump announced a new military move on the U.S. southern border as his administration confronts multiple challenges around the globe. Bradley Blackburn is tracking the latest on the Trump White House.
President Trump flew south to Palm Beach late Friday as the White House announced plans in the U.S. Southwest. In an executive order, he gave the Pentagon control of federal lands on the southern border, effectively turning them into a military installation. The order says it would enable activities like barrier construction and enforcing security. It includes the Roosevelt Reservation, a narrow strip of land that passes through California, Arizona, and New Mexico. One of the Trump administration's moves on immigration was challenged at the U.S. Supreme Court this week, with the court ordering the White House to work to return a Maryland man who was mistakenly deported to a Salvadoran prison. Aboard Air Force One, the president said he would comply.
I'm not totally well versed as to the specific case, but if they said to bring him back, I would tell them to bring him back.
Meanwhile, in the global tariff battle, China's 125% tariff on U.S. goods goes into effect Saturday after President Trump raised his tariff to 145% and excluded China from a 90-day pause.
They can choose not to deal with us, or they can choose to pay it. And that's where we are.
And this weekend, the White House is starting new nuclear negotiations with Iran.
I want Iran to be a wonderful, great, happy country, but they can't have a nuclear weapon.
The talks are being held in Oman Saturday. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Electronics, including smartphones and computer monitors, will be exempt from President Trump's reciprocal tariffs. That's according to a notice from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection that was posted late Friday. The exemption applies to products entering the U.S. or that were removed from warehouses by April 5th. The move comes after the Trump administration imposed a tariff rate of 145% on Chinese goods imported to the U.S. The tariffs would have a major impact on tech giants like Apple, since the majority of its phones are produced in China. And mortgage rates are now at the highest level since February. The average rate on the popular 30-year fixed mortgage is now at 7.1%. This comes as bond yields spiked higher midweek when President Donald Trump's new tariffs on dozens of countries went into effect. Yields dropped when President Trump lowered the tariff rate on most countries hours later, but bonds began selling off again Friday, despite a cooler than expected inflation report. For consumers, these changes come during the important spring housing market. And now switching gears, let's head over to the Weather Center for a first look at our forecast with Christina Campbell.
And Adelmi, we have another round of winter in the forecast for many spots across the state, starting with a blizzard warning for the Kuskokwim Delta and Nunivak Island. 2 to 4 inches of snow expected and gusts to 45. A warning means it's imminent. It will happen. That's until Sunday at 11. Then there's a winter weather advisory, which means it's possible. This is for Turnagain Pass. Heavy snow, 8 to 12 inches. So travel will be difficult. If you're going to be in this area, just know that heavy snow is possible. This is until 1 o'clock tomorrow. And then rain and snow for the southeast, mainly rain, but Haines could see 4 to 6 inches of snow. And speaking of all this snow, you might get tempted to go to the backcountry, but the avalanche danger is still considerable, and it's expected to go into the high category again tomorrow. So be advised, this is for Turnagain Pass, Seward, Lost Lake, all areas in the backcountry. And as we look at our map, you can see all of the wet weather to the south, and starting with that warning out toward the west. And then, of course, we also have that winter weather advisory for heavy snow for Turnagain Pass in the forecast. Right now, some sun breaks. We did manage to get those, and in the interior, looking pretty nice with some sun breaks, mild temperatures. But as we look ahead, active weather for the entire southern coastline. Some spots could even see some thunderstorm activity with cold air aloft and warm air in the Gulf. We'll get some breaks, but for the most part, snow, gusty winds for Anchorage and Bethel. You too will also see some gusty winds and some snow. I'll be back with the full forecast in just a bit.
Thank you, Christina. We'll see you soon. Now, first responders received recognition today at the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center for their first ever First Responder Appreciation Day. In addition to first responders getting free admission to the center, visitors got to see some first responder vehicles up close. Anchorage Police, SWAT, and Girdwood Fire Department were present to meet and talk with visitors. The Girdwood Fire Department showed off a new truck they recently received.
Oh, the kids love it. I mean, you can't go wrong with a big fire truck. So this is a rescue pumper. We have water and a toolbox on it. So you have the water and a pump so we can put out a small vehicle fire if necessary. And then we have all the tools we need to cut apart a car and make sure everybody can get out and have a better day than what they has already happened.
The event was held in partnership with the organization Cops for Community. AWCC and first responders said they were appreciative of those who came out despite the snow and wind.
And it's fantastic, you know, lots of local talent, all ages. We've had kids from as young as 15 on up to, the elderly with walkers. So it's so many different varieties of people come in to do it, and it's so much fun.
April is National Poetry Month, and there's still time to celebrate local poets at a poetry slam in Anchorage's Spenard neighborhood. The Writer's Block Cafe celebrates with a poetry slam on the second Saturdays each month, and winners of the 3-round slam receive a cash prize of $100. Vered Morez, owner of the Writer's Block, says their poetry slams are the cafe's busiest night every month. She says this slam's theme is walking on eggshells, saying it was chosen for the upcoming Easter holiday and the current political climate. Morris says slams are an old tradition with a long history, and along with encouraging writers to share their work, it connects poets with a source for helpful feedback.
I'm going to quote one line. When the poem stops, you should go through the windshield. You know, good poetry can be transformative. It can change your view, give you a new perspective, introduce an aspect of language. And if it's done its job, even if it's a small little 3-line haiku, when it ends, you should be still floating away. You should go through that windshield.
And still to come on the news at 5, experts are warning of measles spreading over the busy spring travel season. What you need to know to protect yourself from the illness. We'll be right back.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
With many families traveling for spring break ahead of the Easter holiday, health officials are worried about measles cases spreading. So far, more than 700 cases have been reported in the U.S. That's the highest number since 2019, according to the CDC. Jen Sullivan looks at the growing numbers and the warning to travelers.
With people traveling for spring break, many officials are concerned the number of measles cases could spike.
This is a very, very infectious disease.
Hawaii Governor Josh Green is also a physician and is worried about the growing cases of measles across the country. This week, the Aloha State confirming its first reported case of measles in years, an unvaccinated child under 5 who recently returned to Oahu after traveling internationally.
If people went through the airport at the same time as the child, there could be infection.
As of Thursday, 712 measles cases have been confirmed in 24 states, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. That's more than double the total amount of measles cases reported last year. Multiple cases have been reported in Oklahoma, Kansas, and New Mexico, but the majority are in West Texas, where the number has surpassed 500 in the state, and there have been at least 2 deaths.
We definitely have a significant number of cases of measles out here in West Texas.
Measles is a highly contagious respiratory disease. If one person has it, up to 9 out of 10 people nearby will become infected if they are not protected, according to the CDC. That's why health officials are urging people to get the MMR vaccine.
The MMR vaccine that protects us against measles is the way to stop from getting measles.
Health officials say one dose is 93% effective, and the second dose is 97% effective at preventing measles. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.